welcome everybody. I'm John Casper with the Chamber, and thank you for joining us this morning for our, I think this is our first social hub that we've had since probably March or February. So we're going to be starting to roll these out again in a virtual kind of way, and hope to have a similar meeting every month from here on out. So thank you for joining us. This is an interactive thing, so if you can unmute yourself, and we're trying to encourage interaction and participation. If you want to throw your video part on, we like to see your faces too. That's you know, mine and Brett. We're handsome men, but we should. It's okay to to look at everybody else too. So we do want this to be interactive. You know, let's before we have I throw it over to Brett. Let's maybe just go around the screen here, and everybody who is here just introduce themselves and kind of tell us a little bit about the company you're with and your role with that company. So. I said I'm with the Chamber, so that says enough right there. I don't know. There's Amy Clark. Why don't you start?
Hi, I work at RIME. We are based in Portage, but we have 10 offices throughout Wisconsin, and I work in marketing.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy.
Angela.
Oh, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
I think you're there. I heard something there for a second. I don't know, Angela. Yeah, I think we hear you now.
Oh, perfect. Sorry, I always have issues with my microphone.
Oh, okay.
I'm Angelia Schiedemeyer. I work at Amcor, and I do our marketing communications.
Great. Okay. Jen F.
Hi, I'm Jen Firehammer with Lakeland Care. I am the marketing specialist at Lakeland Care. We have 10 locations throughout 22 counties in Wisconsin.
Great. I think back in March, you guys hosted our AM Oshkosh, which was
yes,
one of our last AM Oshkosh, although we had one just the other day over at New Hydraulics. So
yes.
okay, Kendall.
Hi, yep, Kendall here from RIME as well with Amy. I'm the director of marketing, and I'm based in Madison as well, but our Oshkosh office is on Main Street, so.
Great. Okay, Devin. I think it's Devin, yeah.
I think that I just typed in my email address as Mike Devine.
Oh.
I'm at UW Oshkosh in the Division of Online and Continuing Education. I am the media specialist, so a lot of marketing and website and social media and all that good stuff.
Great. Okay. Heather's up next. Heather, are you there? Maybe you're having a little audio problem there. So, and then there is a phone number there. So I'm not sure who's that associated with. So if you want to jump in, that'd be great.
Yeah, good morning, John. This is Al Keatsman, Copter Consulting, joining by phone. Good morning, Brett.
Thanks for joining us, Al. Nice seeing you, kind of. So,
yeah.
So we're, as I mentioned before, we want to, try to make this as interactive as possible. Brent will be leading our discussion about website optimization and give you hopefully some good advice and some very helpful things that you can implement to optimize your website to increase conversion. So with that, Brett, why don't you take it from there and lead us through this and go through it. I see we have one more person before we do that, Nicole. has joined us. Nicole, if you want to just introduce yourself and company you're with and what you do.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hi, I am Nicole. Work in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. New.
Okay, well, I think we lost part of that. Sorry about that. So
Oh, that's okay. I can start over.
might let you do that. That'd be good.
Okay, so what's that? Oh, okay. So I work at Fletcher Chiropractic in Oshkosh,
Yeah.
and I'm new to the marketing within the office. So I'm just, trying to learn as much as I can and just expand on all that stuff because I don't really have much of a background to it at all. So kind of
Well,
going in full blast.
great. Well, you've come to the right place and the right stepping off point here. So,
Awesome.
all right. Well, thank you all. And Brett, why don't you just lead us off here?
Yeah. Let me see. Can you guys do you guys see my screen share, my presentation here?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So far, so good. All right. Awesome. So yeah, thank you all for coming today. This will be like John mentioned, interactive. That if you guys have questions at any part, throughout, please hop on. You can get off of mute, ask a question, or put it in the chat, whatever works for you guys. But I want to make sure you guys are getting the most out of it. We do have a eclectic background here where people are different departments for different businesses as well as different size businesses. So please let me know anything I can do to help tailor it to any of your unique businesses and your needs. So really quick, just wanted to jump in here and just go here. My name's Brett Hildebrandt, lead project strategist for Stellar Blue Technologies. So my goal is to sit down with prospects and current clients and just figure out what is their goals, what are they looking to do in the digital space as a whole, and then I help with Stellar Blue's suite of products and services to help bring those goals to fruition and ideally make our clients more money. Really quick, just a little bit about Stellar Blue. I know most of you probably heard of us. We've been around since 2004, so we have over 16 years in the industry. We have over 400 clients internationally. Our entire team's based in Wisconsin, so that's always a plus, is that we don't outsource any of our work. So your money, if you do business with us, stays in Wisconsin, which is also great. And we're all virtual, and now in this day and age, we always joke from our side is that everybody now is kind of forced to kind of come into our area. We have a lot of remote employees throughout Wisconsin, and I think it's becoming the new norm, working from home, and businesses are seeing that it can actually be productive. And then really quick, just so you kind of understand that we are a full service digital marketing firm. So we do everything from custom websites to multimedia, marketing, graphic design, analytics, and then really custom programming for like intranets, portals, business apps, web apps, and things like that. So we can really help a client at any point and with any need or capacity there. Just wanted to briefly go through that so you guys have a little bit better understanding before we get into a little bit more about like our process here. So whenever we take on a client, in this case, I'm gonna, you guys we're gonna be my client today, talking about how to optimize, your website. But really, what it is that we always like to start off with just taking the big picture approach here and realizing that your website's just an overall part of the whole digital marketing scheme. And we've created this building blocks here. So whenever I sit down with somebody, I always want to make sure that they understand what it is they're asking for and where does it fit in the importance of the overall digital marketing scheme here. So the website today that we're going to go through is actually this kind of half crescent, half circle here. And we always say that before you can even get into all of the marketing elements here, you want to have a highly optimized website, because that's going to be where all of your traffic ideally goes, and everything's going to break off all the spokes from the hub of your website there. So then we say, hey, you have to have a strategy for your whole digital marketing. You have to have, analytics tracking it, search engine optimization, the content marketing that goes along with everything, digital advertising to get traffic to the website, and then the multimedia up top. And the whole point is that you can spend $2,000 in a video right away, sharing about us, products, services. But if it's not a part of this, fully integrated content marketing, digital advertising scheme that's going to a highly optimized website, it's really not, you're not getting the best ROI there. So I always like to take the step back before we get into a project specific one. In this case is what we're going to go through today is our highly optimized website. So, oops, sorry about that. So for this one, we're going to go through some of these elements here in a little bit, and I'm going to go into more detail. So I just wanted to kind of cruise past that. And then finally, once we get through a project, we always then talk about, like the flow from there in the marketing process. And it's really focused on understanding, strategizing. So you got to set your goals, implement, and then we're going to convert. And then we're going to kind of toggle between 4 and 5 on checking those conversions and then scaling those conversions. So just wanted to kind of breeze past like a solid process for you guys on digital marketing as a whole. So then we can kind of get into the meat and potatoes here, which is going to be the website optimization. So we really have the building blocks here. And we always start with discovery and strategy, and then we go into hosting, security, content and SEO elements, results focused design of the website, and then some interactive elements, and then analytics. And it kind of goes in that order as well. So, everything's got to hinge off that strategy piece. And we always call this kind of like our cornerstone as we're building from there. So just a little bit, better view of all that. And then now we'll kind of get into some of the strategy here. So really it comes down to what are your goals with your website, right? Some of you guys might have, it more informational. Some of you as a full-on e-commerce store. Some of it's just wanting to get request to quote, contact us. So you first got to figure out what are the goals of your website. And there might be multiple goals, might be focused on, employees, careers, as well as request to quotes, and even maybe gathering donations if you're a nonprofit. There's all these different goals that you could be having for it, and then you have to make sure that that's all written down. And then one of the things here we like to have fun with some of our clients is, what makes you guys unique? And here's just kind of like a personality test, so to speak, of the maybe your brand, how you want to communicate to the visitors, the audience. What's kind of how do you guys want to be? Do you guys want to be funny and witty? Do you want to be very informational? All these different things, and you can kind of see where some of the larger brands associate with them here. So it's just something to get the juices flowing, really to help with that strategy piece. And then from here, I'm sure you guys have all heard of it, seen it before, but it's that SWOT analysis, figuring out, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Because we want to make sure before we go spend money creating the website, or you guys re-optimizing a current website, you got to, a lot of the heavy lifting is actually kind of done before you even start building the website. And it's really important to make sure you have a solid plan, focus, and this SWOT analysis can help with that. And from here too is what we have. This is just a breakout of just a couple pages of a report that we do, but this is something that you guys can do internally as well. We work with our clients to help it out, but we get a full discovery and background and goals. You kind of see some of the website goals, target audiences, your market position, branding, unique value propositions, site map recommendations based off of all of the research that you've done or we've done. Then we get into the content outline, content strategy, keywording, blogging. We really give a full scope of everything based off of the research that we do, and that you guys can do. And here's just some of the snippets of how we lay out, multiple goals that you could currently have, your target audiences, where are you going here, market position, what's your brand message, how is it different, there, and how do you want to be known in the market, right? And then your branding and messaging challenges. You always want to look at, we know it's not all sunshine and rainbows out there, so we got to figure out what's working, what's not working, and what's your unique value propositions. And then here's a nice thing that helps a lot. If you have certain tools, you can be able to start digging into this on your own. We have some tools that we use, and then we have our marketing, specialists use all of their, their knowledge and expertise to really make sense of all this. But you can get see how you rank compared to your competitors, and getting that competitive analysis. So here's just a little example of just a simple keyword overlap. So our client that we redacted here was in blue, right? And then now you can see all the keywords that they rank for, right? 99 of them. And now you can see where their competitors rank over here. You can see the overlap where they're competing on certain keywords. But then you see a lot of these spaces over here where our client's not even ranking for. So now we can start looking into why are these clients, these competitors using these keywords, and is it something that we can implement over here? Or is it another opportunity where you can, maybe expand into adding into a new demographic or a market, or another service or product altogether? So it is a very good idea to make sure you see what your competitors are doing as well. So kind of wraps up the strategy phase there, and this is a really critical piece. So if you guys haven't done one in a while, before you consider, maybe refreshing your website, always having, a fallback document is critical there. You saw ones that we give out are around 20 plus pages. So it just helps to keep everybody on the same page, same focus with the mission and vision of the company. Does anybody have any questions on the strategy phases at all for starting out for the optimizing your website?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Awesome. Really quick, we're going to just get into hosting and security. This is critical for optimizing your website. The first thing is you got to get on with the right hosting plan for your website. And that is, you need to have enough bandwidth to handle the traffic that you have, that, figuring out if you're going to have any spikes in traffic, that your hosting can handle those spikes. Figuring out if you want to host with another company like us, host with GoDaddy, wherever, just got to make sure, or some companies like to host in-house with their own IT and their servers. So you got to figure out what works best for your company. But just making sure that you're with a company, if you are outsourcing the hosting, making sure you're with a company that understands your unique business needs, to make sure that you're in the right plan and you're not being underperform hosting or overperforming hosting as well. Just a couple statistics to scare you here. But when we get into the security portion, it's really, really critical, and that usually goes hand in hand with hosting. But 65% of all cyber attacks are aimed at small and medium-sized businesses. Pretty straightforward. That's just because a lot of small and medium-sized businesses either don't have the capital, or they don't think that it's important. Everybody thinks it's important once it happens to them. But it is one of those where you are paying, what people call like insurance for it. But sometimes it's worth it, especially when you get hacked and and that takes you down for several days, weeks, holding websites ransom. There's so many stories out there. And it just kind of shows you the hacker attack every 39 seconds. And then here's just all the records are stolen breaches every day. So security is important. And for being optimized, Google is part of their Google's algorithm now. It's been there for several years, but it's even more so today as well, is because Google is dinging you and putting you lower in the search rankings if you were ranking against a competitor and they had the secure socket layer right here where that shows a little lock. Your competitor would rank higher than you if you had a not secure site, just because Google wants to send its customers, which are the people that are searching, to a secure website, and it's not going to a site that potentially could take their identity or kind of a pertinent information, social security, credit cards, all that stuff. So, so secure socket layer, if you have it, a lot of times as part of that hosting plan, make sure that we get it, especially if you're doing e-commerce or any forms that you're requesting information from. This is just kind of best practices. Finally, getting down to content delivery network and security services here. And, these are just a bevy of program softwares companies out there. We particularly use Cloudflare with our clients, and that's just a whole on security system. Then we also do the CDN here as well, and that just spreads out all of your content into multiple hosting servers across the nation. So based on where a user comes on in, it's going to pull from your website's going to pull from the closest server to them, which results in faster load speeds, which is going to be a critical thing as well with Google as part of their algorithm for helping you rank higher from that standpoint. So I think any questions on hosting and security here?
No.
All right. We're gonna get into the meat and potatoes, one we're gonna hang a lot of time on, which is what a lot of people think of when they think of, optimizing their website, is their content and SEO here. So optimizing your content. So really quick, what we just found, is that, did you know that 91% of pages never get any organic traffic from Google? So that just means that, and I can only imagine I don't even want to know how high it up is. I know there's like trillions of websites already, and I imagine all the pages on there. So that's a lot of pages that aren't even getting indexed. So we know it's a very competitive market to make sure that you're ranking in those first, 1-2 pages. If that, the drop off of people finding you is pretty insignificant. So just wanted to show off. I always like to shout out some free tools and things to consider. Part of the content optimization on here. So there's a tool right down here, the links right here, the Datalyze tool, and it's a readability analyzer. And what it does is you can take your content of your website, put it into this tool, and it's going to give you a Flesch score is what they call it. And really, it's just going to tell you that getting a score between 60 to 70 corresponds to an 8th or 9th grade English reading level. And a score of 50 to 60 is a 10th to 12th grade level. Below 30 is college graduate level. So ironically, you actually want to be right around that between the 8th and 9th grade reading level on there to really resonate with a lot of your audiences out there. You don't want to be putting content out at a graduate level. It's just not going to connect with the masses. So this is a really cool tool just to see where you rank for your content on there. So, and you can kind of see some of they'll give you some of the minimum state scores from 40 to 50 for like insurance documents to give you some benchmarks from there. Another free tool here, it's called Screaming Frog. And what it does is it's going to actually take all the pages of your website, like you see here, running it through Stellar Blue here, our website. And it just shows you if it's all being indexed correctly and appropriately. So a lot of times you might not realize that, there might have been an error or something going on where your site's not even being indexed on those pages. And here you are thinking, I spent all this money on keywording and we got all this stuff ready. And for some reason, there's either a hiccup in the code or the robot or the crawlers, the spiders that Google likes to call them, is hitting something and it's not being able to index it. So just being able to double check that, this is a really great tool to run your website through on there. And then it also kind of shows you how your description, title tags, and giving you even little snippets of how you're showing with your characters and description. So it just lets you know that you're kind of up to best practices. So please check out this tool here. And then finally, another tool, which is a nice one, is SEO Quake. It's a free tool. You can actually put it on your toolbar underneath your browser nav up top. But again, it's just telling you if there's any errors on your website. There's a lot of other tools out there that do this, but it's just always good practice to keep checking up using these free tools to see if there's any glaring issues that are really, really hurting you. And then here's what this tool looks like in the search rankings is you can kind of see some of these numbers. It kind of tells you where you're ranking. If you wanted to see who owns the domain, you want to get into the source code. It's just a really cool little tool as well that just kind of allows you to see the health of a website. Any questions on those tools at all? Does those seem like they could be helpful?
Yeah, I think they would be definitely very helpful. For the screening frog that you talked about, you said that it checks indexes. What exactly does that mean?
So what that means is Google, they have these robots that crawl your website, and indexing means that Google actually indexed your entire page, so to speak, or hopefully your whole website. So that just means that Google has a record of it, which you want to happen. So then when they're searching for your keywords, they're searching for your services, that your Google is recognizing you as a business that has those services. So so if it doesn't index it, then that means like the page isn't in there, or only got a quarter of the page, however much it was able to index it. So, and we'll get into a few things here in SEO box here that we'll talk about sitemaps and things that can help the robots index faster.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. So don't get alarmed. I know this is a lot of text. We're just gonna break it down here, but I wanted to kind of share what's new with SEO and what's going on here. So we did a lot of recent research lately, and we're gonna hang out here for a little while, just because this is some really good areas for you. If you, I know there's marketing director, there's people that are marketing specialists here and stuff, just to consider and bring back to the team or the IT team, and just start asking some of these things. How is our of these areas here, because this is pretty critical on here. So I was going to zoom in just a little bit more here. One of the things is just your URL naming structure. So it sounds pretty simple, but if you ever looked at what the URL naming structure is, it could be Stellar Blue Technologies / about us, or whatever that is. That's the URL naming structure. But the issue is a lot of times is that doesn't always correlate to what is actually on the page. So there is a unique way that you can change the URL of the strategy inside the back end of your website, and we want to make sure it's matching the content. Or we either have to switch the content around or switch the title around, but there's best practices for that. So just something to consider on that. Now, this is what whoever was just recently talking here, this sitemap and robot .txt file. So according to one 2019 report, only 72% of mobile sites have a valid robots.txt file. So we're just wondering, is your site the other 28%? So really what that means is that this robot file is going to specify which pages of your site or the search engines should crawl. And what happened is that if something's going on and the robots aren't able to get through, they might be going on to your server with a lot of requests, and that can slow down your website. But this can also help them navigate your website, and also uploading a sitemap. So that's something too that you can do typically in the back end of a website, or you talk to your IT people. But uploading a sitemap, that just gives out the entire hierarchy structure from the top navigation to your pages to the sub pages, and that basically you upload that, and then it actually pushes a request for Google to search or to come to your website. Usually it could still take a few weeks for the robots to come, but you're basically helping guide it, making, ensuring that all the pages are being indexed in the hierarchy structure that you want. So those are really key things to have put together here. One of the things we were talking about earlier was just the page load speed and how that CDN network and having solid security can help with that. But this is, again, just going into mobile friendliness and that page load speed. But according to Pew Research, 81% of Americans who own a smartphone, 1 in 5 adults are smartphone only now. And they're internet users on top of that on their phone. So additionally, 61% of mobile searchers are more likely to contact a local business if they have mobile friendly sites. So just wants to make sure that your site is responsive, that it does adjust to the screen size based off you're coming from a desktop, tablet, or a smartphone, that the screen sizes are adjusting there. And again, Google has changed its algorithm to be mobile first indexing algorithm. So it's going to index sites that are mobile friendly. It's going to rank them higher if you don't have a mobile friendly website and your competitor does, if you guys are close in the rankings. So it's very, very critical to make sure that you guys are working on that. The biggest thing of 2020 is going to be this schema markup. So what that is I'll read into here a little bit, but another 2019 report indicated that only 70% of marketers are using schema or structured data on their websites. So one of the things is, you can leverage this to its fullest potential, and Google is now in 2020, they're saying this is like the biggest thing to focus on for your website. And all that means is it's in the back end of the code. So if you know how to code, that's great. Or if you're working with an agency that's had your website, but ask them about schema markup. What it is it's basically like if you are in the footer of a website and it says like, the address, phone number, contact information, things like that. In the back end of the website, you're actually telling Google this is an address. Otherwise, it's just indexing particular words and numbers, and it might not know everything, but you're forcing Google to say, this is an address, this is a phone number. You can go into, this is a specific product, this is a specific service. And there's unique ways, if you go to, if you go out and Google schema markup, they have their tools and things to best practices. But you're really getting even more pinpointed on your products and services and areas of your website. So really go check this out if you haven't already. Finally, we've all heard about it, but alternate tags on your images. It's just everybody has images out there, but a lot of times it's not optimized. It's one 2020 study of the top 1 million homepages found that about 31% of all homepages images were missing alt image text. So Google can't read images. So it's important to tell them what your images are. Again, that's just that's another way to put some of your keywords in there, some of your products and services. Then, all the things you want to be known for is just anything that you can do extra to help Google understand what your business does. It's going to help you guys rank higher. Organic keyword rankings, that's pretty straightforward. If you can work with an agency or if you have your own know-how utilizing particular tools, you can look at what your competitors have, what do you want to be known for, and then making sure you have a keyword plan in place for your content. And it's interesting now is that, back in the day, you could just stuff a bunch of keywords in there, but everything's changing to voice automation, long tail keywords where they're looking at phrases, sentences. Now how people are searching, right? Everybody just says, hey Siri, what's the closest pizza shop near me, right? Like that's one long sentence. So are you optimizing for that as well? So that is great, whether you use a company to get those keywords and all that and you implement them yourselves, or you have somebody do all of that for you. It's best practice to refresh those. And it's not a once and done thing either. The more you can do it, your keyword rankings will change on the daily. But you should at least be every year refreshing these keywords because everything changes as we're seeing, even something particularly like COVID and what's happening now is changing all of our habits, buying habits, working habits, everything there. Technology is changing just as fast to keep up with the new norm. So just making sure you stay on top of that. Here, for anybody that's got like local businesses here, Google My Business listing, it's always staggering to still find, you know, reputable businesses that have been around for a while that haven't claimed their Google listing yet. And again, Google, you know, has about 90% of the web traffic. People come in and Bing has some, but Google is the juggernaut. So making sure that you are not only claimed and verified, but that it's optimized as well. So open up, you know, your My Business account from there. But yet again, there's still 56% of retailers have not claimed their listing for Google My Business. So that helps for anybody that's saying near me. That's when they're searching, or they might say, you know, chiropractic Oshkosh, right? You know, like hopefully you guys have registered and you're in there, and that Flesch or Chiro shows up. But anybody that's looking for, or any business that's more location specific, is very critical to make sure that you're getting all of those. And if you have multiple locations, that all of those are indexed and in your Google account. And finally, backlinks and anchor text. So this is where it's really critical here. Google takes into consideration who are you connected with as well. And that's part of their Google search realm. So optimizing it, you want to make sure that if you can get into as many directories as possible, if you can link over to other websites, or if you can, better yet, what Google likes to see is that your website link is on somebody else's website that's reputable, because that means that Google thinks, wow, you know, this other website thinks highly of you, that they would put your information on there. So a simple one is Oshkosh Chamber. Are you guys in the, you know, if you're a member here, you know, you should have your URL in the Oshkosh Chamber, you know, membership directory here. That's going to be a backlink to your website. That's just one simple way of doing it. Making sure if you're a part of any associations, anything with the .org, Google looks at as a higher affinity and stronger with your backlinks. So another simple way to do this, and there's a lot of quick tools out there, like SEMrush, Moz, but what they have a unique tool that actually, it's gonna, like, sometimes between like $29 a month or up to $100. It all depends on how many locations and everything of your business. But what it does, it's gonna put out your business information, like in your Google My Business, all that information, it's gonna put out to all of these other directories for you. I know SEMrush does up to like 82 other directories. So that's 82 other backlinks to your website that you got putting on there. And that could be like Yelp, Manta, gosh, there's so many other directories, and obviously all your social media accounts, and more out there. I'm trying to think of any other, Eat Street. There's so many, any other registries you can get into, Yellow Book, all that stuff is pretty critical on there. So, so instead of having to manage all of that, getting a tool that you can just change the information once and then it spits it out everywhere is a huge plus. So, any questions on some of these things to optimize your content and SEO tactics?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Let me head on out here. We'll get into some fun stuff here. And so optimizing your design. So when you're into the design of the website is pretty critical. You know, first impressions are 94% design related, and that's from the effect of aesthetics on web credibility. And that's very true. It's just, think of it in your own instance. If you go to a website and it looks like it was built in the 1990s, or it just doesn't look very well, it's not eye-catching or pleasing, a lot of times they people just back out and go back into the next ranking. That's the luxury of the searchers have. So one of the things we want to figure out when you're designing your website is, what is the main user path? So if your goal is to try to either sell a product or get them to request a quote on a specific service, or just request a quote in general, if you're also trying to you know, get donations, that could be a different user path and all on there. So we just want to make sure that you're designing the website to make the call to actions very you know, not in your face, but enough to where the user is going to see that, and you kind of helping through the design, you know, feed them into the functionality you want. So that's kind of that appeasing and functional. You want to make it enough to where people are like, oh, I like that, and you know what, they're going to want to click on it, but it's leading them down that user path that you want. So you could have 3 or 4 different user paths, and that's where that discovery piece or strategy I started in the beginning comes back to play in here when we're doing the design. And then another thing too is you can actually A/B and test, you know, your website. So there's a couple paid A/B testing tools out here. I just dropped them right here, Optimizely and VWO. And what they can do is that they can hook up into your website, and you can literally swap out, change colors. You can drive traffic to your website, and you can split it 50-50. So 50% of the people are going to go to this landing page, 50% of the other people are going to go to this landing page, and they could have different content. It could be swapping out different colors, moving the content around, and you can start seeing what pages, what A/B testing of a page gets more engagement. This is really critical if any of you guys are selling like e-commerce, anything like that, or going directly from paid advertising to a landing page, right? You want to make sure that you can see how optimized it is, and see what's working, what's not working, seeing which landing page version connects with more of the audience, and then trying to replicate that, and maybe even using that design structure for the rest of your other landing pages or service pages, product pages, whatever. So it's just, I don't think too many people think of A/B testing their website. A lot of them are just like, hey, let's get it up once and done, and then we'll see how that works for us. So any questions on the design aspect? All right. Interactive elements, this is where we're actually going to bounce off to a couple sites that we did here, but the whole point of interactive elements here is, you know, get creative. You want to keep visitors and users on your site. If you can do things that help them engage with your website, or have really, it's very design friendly, that has, you know, like case studies, project profiles, any games on there, anything like that will keep people using your website, which means the longer they stay on your site, Google thinks that that people like your website enough that because they're staying longer, that's going to bump you higher in the search rankings. So again, if you have an average time of people spending 5 minutes on your website, which is a lot, and you're with a competitor that only has like a minute or less on your website, again, if you guys are already close in the rankings, yours is going to be up higher. So it's just a key thing. Plus, it people have a good association and a fun time when they get to interact with the website here. So let me see if I can do this quickly here. So just kind of going through a couple of these websites. Oh, that's going to be in the way, huh? So one of them here is, you know, for skee ball. It's a website that we didn't design. Again, you know, having the nice call to actions, leading them around there, doing some really cool effects. But what's really a nice, cool little interactive piece is just how they tell their story. So if you actually click on this, you're moving the story, and it looks like you're going down the boardwalk. So it's just like, this is just a fun way. And you're engaging. You got the tickets pulled off back when they started in the early 1900s. So we just played off of that. That was we came out of that strategy and discovery. This was the look and feel they wanted. And when we brought this idea to them and how to keep people engaged, but again, this is something small, simple, that can help keep people engaged. This project here is really fun. So this is Ridgeway Golf Course. But again, you know, we have a video right away, really engaging, a lot of parallax scrolling here through nice bold images and where they want to go. But what's really cool from the interactive piece here is the course tour that we built for them. And this is going to keep people on the site for a little while, especially if they're researching the course or the hole. So we have a video tour of each hole and then also photos of it. And, you know, it's simple. This is already going to take 19 seconds of someone's time if they're going to look through this. And as they're going through it, you know, we're telling them the yards and such. But what's nice is they can click through all the holes. They can see the, you know, the different ranges of where they start on the different tees here. But again, this is just a fun thing that's going to keep people on their website longer. In fact, people can pull this up on their mobile phones, since 1 in 5 people use the phone for the internet. But no, they could be out in the course, pull this up real quick and do that. So it's really, really nice. Another fun, simple thing is we work with Fox Valley Memory Project, and you kind of see these cards flipping over here. Well, you can actually click right here and you can play a memory game, right? So it's just a simple, fun little memory game along here. So this is just really, you know, small, simple, interactive elements that you can add to this. And then another website here real quick, just wanted to showcase like case studies, things to read, to keep people on the pages. So these are all their featured, you know, products here that Myron has built recently. But you can click into here, see a project, and I can tell you they have over like 300 plus projects in here, but they can start reading, engaging with the products. If there's additional links, pictures, again, this is taking my time. So interactive elements that are going to keep people engaged, that are aesthetic, like appeasing and functional. Let's go back in here. Was any questions on the interactive elements? Moral of the story is keep them on your website. All right. And then up to the last piece here, analytics. We talked about A/B testing. This is something that you should have on your website. If you, a lot of people, you know, something, you know, free is Google Analytics. You can put that up with your Google, you know, My Business account, get that rolling, and just, you know, see how your website's performing. There's other ones out there, Monster Insights, Stellar Analytics. We have our own analytic platform. But what's really nice is that, you know, you're tracking to see where are people coming from, what are they doing on your website, how many visitors have you had, and trying to differentiate what's working, what's not working for your website. What pages are your #1 pages? You know, if your goal is to have people buy certain products or get to a services page, and that's like the 10th performing page, it's like, well, what do we got to do there to help get those up higher? And that goes back to a healthy strategy. But these are just, you know, just some metrics that you can see. Where are they coming from? Are they coming from Facebook? Are they coming from social media? Are they coming from other websites that you have those backlinks to? Are they new returning visitors? Really key metrics here that you can see. What devices are they coming in on? You know, what are the total searches on the website? So if you have a search bar on your website, you can be tracking what people are typing in on your website. So if you're not tracking that, people could be trying to search for something, and then you might be realizing, wow, they're searching for this particular product quite a lot, or this particular service, and yet, you know, we don't have a page that it leads them to afterwards, because you might not even have a page for that, or you might have a page, but since people are searching for it so often, you might want to think of putting that call to action on your homepage right away. You can see what people are downloading if you have any like PDFs, anything on your website. So just very critical to take into consideration. This is the last piece of the building blocks. It kind of syncs everything together to really make sure this is this ongoing way to keep optimizing your website. After you spent the time and you kind of went through all those building blocks to build the website, then now we want to make sure that it's working properly, and we can use analytics to be tracking all that. So that's just, you know, kind of the building blocks there of just all the things to take into consideration of how to either rebuild, you know, kind of refresh your website, or build a brand new one from scratch. These are just kind of the building blocks that we use. Clients really enjoy them, and the results then, you know, speak for themselves, and then you get to keep tracking on using analytics to measure that from there. So good, we're right on time. So just wanted to throw it out there. If anybody has any questions, you can reach out anytime. Here's my contact information. Whether you just want more of a, if you want some more of the specifics or the statistics that I had in this presentation, or if you had any questions for your own businesses, I'd love to take those right now if you have any.
We all have Brett right now, so if it's
no billable time right now.
no better time than now. So I mean, it's interesting stuff. It's way beyond my pay grade here. I'm kind of a fish out of the water as it relates to this stuff. So, but I had Mark in our office listening, so I'm sure he's a sponge. So I'm sure he took in everything.
Good.
Any questions at all for Brett?
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of this stuff is, pretty much all of this stuff is all new to me. So I don't really know exactly what our office website has and what it doesn't have, but I'm excited to find out.
Was that I can't see who's talking. Oh, Nicole. Okay, you're
Yes.
from Fletcher.
Yep, Fletcher
Okay.
Chiropractic.
Yeah, no. If you're ever wanting no charge or whatever, but if you're ever wanting just to talk more and just kind of even just giving you a quick overview of where we think your website's at, just to kind of give you areas of where you want to optimize or things to consider, in your next budget season, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, please let me know.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, like I said, I don't know exactly, like, I'm pretty sure we work with like GoDaddy and stuff, but I don't, gotta double check to see what we all do. And I mean, it was definitely super interesting to find out about all these things, because I don't have like a background in any of this stuff. So it's definitely cool to learn.
Awesome.
Well, from our perspective, I mean, we've kind of been on a journey, going back to, the 90s as it relates to websites and that evolution of that. And we've worked with Brett and his team a lot over the last, several years, and they really put us on a good solid path in terms of how are we best utilizing, online media and our, website and that sort of thing. And, I think our numbers have been very strong, I think, in terms of how people are connecting up with us through the website. And, we're a little different in terms of we're not a retail operation, but, information is important to what we do and our members. So it's, I'd certainly take Brett up on his offer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Oshkosh Chamber, that calendar page is usually number 1 through 3.
Yeah.
So that's great. Everybody wants to know what's up and coming. So yeah, I think if that's not it, otherwise I'm just always curious as to if anybody, or if you have in the past really worked out like a solid strategy for your overall, like, digital marketing. Have any of you guys done that before? Has it been a while?
Very quiet group today here.
All right. No,
well, this is Mike from UW Oshkosh. I just I started in a newly created position about 18 months ago. So having that that's a good reminder to have an overall like strategy, and I haven't had a chance to go back and really create one of those yet. So I'm kind of just going day by day for my first couple months on the job, but I know that I have to go back and kind of refine and have an overall 360 degree look of everything.
Yeah. Well, if you have
I appreciate that.
questions or how to start or
sure,
kind of put one together, yeah, please reach out and we can discuss that. So.
Sounds good.
Great.
Well, Brett, thanks again. For everyone who's listening and participating, we're going to be doing these every month now. So be looking for the August date. We haven't quite figured out what that date would be yet. But we're looking at some really good topics and that sort of thing. So be looking for those things. We'll be getting that out by the first part of August. It'll be in our Member Matters newswave and our newsletter, and we'll get it out in various other ways. So again, thanks for joining us. Tell others. We want, again, we're reestablishing this, and it's always a little difficult doing it in the summertime because people have a lot of things going on. There's only 13 weeks of summer, so people take full advantage of those as they can. But again, we appreciate you being a part of this. And again, be looking for the next one for August and the and fall season. So I guess with that, we'll be signing off. And if anybody has questions, just circle back with Brett, and he'd certainly be. I'm offering your help for you. So.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody.
See you later.
Bye.